Is this thing on? Oh, thank God. I can't stay long. This transmission is dangerous as is. But I have an urgent message from the future. Whatever you do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. There's no telling the dangers that could occur if you don't. This is very important, whatever you do. Sa amigos, it is your favorite illustrator / impulse buyer here. And today I purchased some accessories specifically to help me with digital drawing. So I might as well give you my review of them. So what I purchased was a Bluetooth keypad for Procreate, and then also a grip for my Apple Pencil. So let's just open this one first. Get out of here. Perfect. So this is the Elago grip holder for Apple Pencil, and it does come with two, which is very nice. So we've got one sort of gray one, and then here is the mint green one. I'm gonna stick with gray because what can I say? I am in fact a goth. So let's grab this, and I believe it's gonna be pretty simple to get on, just sort of, yeah, so this seems to be pretty nice. It's got a good feel to it, bit grippier than the previous one. It says that the double tap and the magnetic work. Let's test that. Let's give that a shot, shall we? So drawing wise, this seems to work fine, but does the double tap work? Come on. Okay, yes, it does work. It does take a little bit of doing. So double tap does work. That's very good to know. Now, I'm sure the real question everyone's asking is, can you charge it? Oh, hey, look at that. It charges. It seems to be a pretty simple, easy to hold thing. And for those of you who are texturally inclined, it does have a very nice, soft texture. It does feel nice to hold. It has a good sort of grip to it. It's a little bit slippery, so if you're concerned about your pencil slipping out of your hands, that's something to keep in mind. That is a solid product. I am very pleased with it. Now let's move on to like the one that I'm very excited about, which is this. It's a keypad specifically for Procreate. So let's unbox this bad boy. All right, that did not open as cleanly as the other one, but I think a lot of that comes down to more me not being very smart than anything. Oh, and here is the keypad. I'm not a huge fan of the color, but... Oh, and it's missing one of the little bottom pads too. Is it in here? No? It just came a little bit broken, I guess. That's a shame. I do texturally enjoy this though, as much as I'm not a fan of the fact that it's like the exact color of my skin. Actually, no, my skin's way more green than that. But each of these buttons correspond to a different thing, and there is actually like a command situation, so you can hit this button and then use that to access different functions, which I'm very excited about. Here are the instructions. It also comes with a little charging cord. Come on, focus, pal. Very nice. Again, little disappointed about the color, but it's fine. We'll just have to see if it works, you know what I'm saying? Alright, turns out it doesn't need to charge, which is good. All you have to do to set this bad boy up is to hit that on switch. Ta-da! As you can see, this light is blinking here. And then you hit down on the Bluetooth button until it shows up as a potential item over here. So let's see. Now that we have got this bad boy paired via Bluetooth, it's time for me to show you all of the functions. Let me double check my screen's recording. It sure is. Fantastic. So this top button, obviously, is how we connect via Bluetooth. That's how we get this whole train started. This one pulls up and dismisses the menu so that you can really quickly clear it out. In Procreate, usually the shortcut for this is just to tap with 4 fingers. This pulls up your layer menu so that you're able to make duplicates. By the way, may I introduce my lovely assistant, Sonic? I thought that since this whole thing is to make the drawing process more speedy, who better than the king of speed himself to help us? I guess this is off-brand Sonic, though. This is just my garbage little motivational Sonic that I draw occasionally. This button, if you pair it with the command button, will remove the layer you're working on so that your Sonic will disappear. Luckily, there is also some shortcuts down here to improve that. So we can either hit this brush icon right here to redraw a Sonic very quickly, and then erase the Sonic very quickly, or we can just hit undo several times. Or we can just do it back and forth a couple of times. If we so desire to make our brush larger or smaller, we can use these two keys right here. And if you look on the left there, you'll see that going up and down. If we pair that with the command key, it reduces the amount that it goes up and down. So it only goes up and down by 1% as opposed to sort of jumping up and down a quarter. If you click on this button, it just pulls up your quick menu. As you can see, I've got several different options here, including flip horizontal, which is probably my favorite one ever because then you can make Sonic dance. Watch him dance. Now, if for some reason you decide you don't want a Sonic, I've got a solution for that as well. You can pull up this color wheel and make him, I don't know, Shadow the Hedgehog, or Knuckles, or whatever. Or alternatively, you can hit the hue, saturation, brightness one to really make him Shadow. Look at this. Now he's dark red and evil looking. How menacing. You can also click on the color balance slider to do this differently. So again, I would have to set this to midtones to make it work, but we can make him a very bright blue Sonic. If we click on this, that'll just select our Sonic so that we may move him around and do with him as we please, to sort of properly menace him. If we click on this button, that will pull up the menus that allow us to select our Sonic. So you can select a portion of a Sonic as an example. So maybe we want him kind of looking somewhere off to the side. He's like, hello? 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 He's afraid, Your Honor. Save him. Then you can just click this here little button to do absolutely nothing. I'm kidding. It allows you to switch colors. So up here, it's not obvious because my last color was red, but let's make it blue. If I click on this button, it'll switch to my previous color so that I can very quickly switch back and forth between the Shadow and Sonic palettes. Then, since there's a control key, if you just hold that, it'll pull up all of the different controls in case you, like me, have a really bad, nasty, nasty little habit of throwing out the instruction guides that arrive with your products. Aside from that, you can copy, you can paste, you can cut and paste, and you can figure out the rest yourself if you do choose to buy this product. There's a limit to how helpful I can be. Anyway, I'm in a real Sonic mood, so let's make a speed paint using the products that I have got today. Let's see how that turns out, shall we? I'll give you my pros and cons of both products once that's done. Alright pals, let's blast into the speed paint. For some reason, I decided that drawing Sonic in the Take On Me pose was the way to go, so that's him there in the Take On Me pose. And for some reason, I thought it would be really, really funny if he had broken into your kitchen in the dead of night. It is 3 a.m. and he has a box of cookies that he has taken from you. He is consuming it. You have walked in the middle of him dumping out the remnants of the cookies on the floor. He's got a cookie in his hand. Just a total horrible, horrible situation. Anyway, as you can see, I'm doing a black and white pass first, just really nailing down the shading. I'm a big, big fan of using selections to get like some hard edges, but also some soft gradients. It tends to create an illusion of 3D shapes that you wouldn't have ordinarily, which I think is just delightful. And the way that I'm lighting this is I'm kind of picturing it, so the only light in the room is coming from the kitchen door and also from a vague rim lighting that I think I make orange. I think it'll be orange. Anyway, here's a little clip of me actually drawing this thing, just to prove that I'm actually using the keyboard and the pen, and also to prove that I'm actually drawing it. Look at my horrible, horrible little hands. Yeah, look at that detail. Yeah, get in there, bud. Really draw that ear. Anyway, now that that's done, let's get back to the actual speedy up gradient. Yeah, so pretty standard sped up shading here. Some of the shapes that I chose to illustrate that I think are really fun is you can see really well where the leg connects to the body. I think that that's a fun little joint. You can see that I'm not really going for movie Sonic or video game Sonic. I sort of like combined the two. Though I think it's really just Smash Sonic, but with slightly more cartoony proportions. Like if you took the original Sonic, who was just like the roundest little man, and then sort of gave him like modern day Sonic vibes, this is what you'd get. Oh, here I am coloring it now. As you can see, I did my classic move of using a black and white layer, popping a gradient map over that so it's not just black and white, and then choosing some tones to put over that with a vivid light layer. You can see the colors that I used on the left there. Even though the colors that I'm using for this are extremely bright and saturated, you see that they actually really blend well together because I have the shading layer underneath to tie them all together. That is a fun free art tip for you. For some reason, I had a lot of trouble getting the chocolate chips to look right. I think it's because they're very dark. The shading method doesn't tend to work with dark colors. You usually have to end up making like another layer and setting it to multiply over top. But I did get it to work eventually, after more difficulty than I'd like to admit. As you can see, I did end up choosing an orange rim light. I don't know why. I just thought it'd be funny if it kind of looked like hell had opened up behind him. And then, just to make it really clear the setting of this, I selected a vague light shape and then put a gradient in it so it looks like light is spilling in from an open door. To contrast with that, we've got like this sort of dark bluish gray background. And it was around this time that I realized that I goofed up some areas of the lighting, so I had to go back to my black and white layer to try and make that a little bit better. I'm doing some final little touches here. Then I blasted in a little background there. I don't know what's up with those little lines. I kind of think it's fun because it almost looks like a bunch of exclamation points like, oh, you're so startled. But anyway, that is my Sonic. I think he is very cute. I don't know why I did this, honestly. I think that Sonic existed in me and I had to share it with the world, and therefore you guys, you're welcome. Let's talk about the actual products, which I just remembered were actually the point of this video. Pros and cons. So, for the pen, pros and cons. The pros comes in multiple colors. Texture-wise, just an absolute delight to use. It can still charge, which is wonderful, and the double tap does still work, albeit you do have to use a touch more force than you would ordinarily. Another pro is that it actually does slide on and off a lot easier than you would think. The cons. Funny enough, the texture also goes in the cons because it does have almost a little bit of a cornstarchy sort of texture to it that you sometimes get with certain fidget toys. I know some people do not like that. Also, though it does feel very nice to hold, it can get a little bit slippery. So that's another thing to keep in mind, especially if you, like me, like to twirl your pencil between your hands like you're some sort of one-trick pony. Aside from that, it's a super solid product. It accomplishes what it sets out to do, and honestly, isn't that all any of us can hope for? Honestly, my only critique is that they haven't sponsored this video. Pools, give money. Now on to the Bluetooth keypad. This one, a little bit more contention on this one. Pros. It does do what it says it does. It functions well. It connects easily, though I did have like this weird glitch where it keeps duplicate pairing. It's like multiple devices will show up. It's like, which one's the real one? Shadow clone no jutsu to find the correct one to pair, but once I get it paired, it works great. The little light on the side is very convenient for telling whether or not it's paired and also determining its charge level. Another thing I like is just the sheer variety of options, as well as the design. It's sort of like a cute little calculator. I almost want to customize this to look like BMO from Adventure Time. I think that would be delightful. Also, the functions included are very good. These are all buttons that I use on a day-to-day basis, and I really do believe that once I get used to it, it'll really speed up my drawing process. Everyone loves that. It is an enjoyable sensory experience. And I do like the way it has a little bit of a stand to it, so it's not perfectly flat, which means you can use it with your wrist at a bit of an angle, which, as we all know, is great. Prioritize your wrist health above all things. All in all, in the areas that matter a lot, this is an extremely solid product, and you should consider it. Now on to the cons. You'll notice that I said in the pros that this is great in all of the ways that really, really matter. So I would like to preface by saying that most of these cons are huge nitpicks. That out of the way, God, I don't like this color. I have never hated a color more. The way it looks with my skin. Like, I look at my hand using this thing and I feel so self-conscious about my skin tone. It also arrived a little bit broken. It was missing one of the little stick pads on the bottom. Obviously, 3 stick pads is enough to keep it gripping, so that's not a huge deal, but it's something to keep in mind, because if little things like that kind of slip under the radar, then who's to say that big things can't? Another small con, the charge cord provided is super short, which means it can be a little bit of a challenge to maneuver your Bluetooth keypad around while you're also trying to draw, since despite the fact that it's for the iPad, it isn't a USB-C adapter. It is USB-A. Luckily, I have like this super long cord that I can use and just sort of stick under my desk, but something to think about if you don't really feel willing to purchase additional hardware. It also doesn't come with a carry case. Something about the design makes me incredibly nervous about transporting it, because there's no good way to do it without having the buttons be pressed down. And like, I worry about that. I'm like, what if it Bluetooth pairs to something or I accidentally break it? If I were to give these things a rating, I would give the pen a solid 4.5 out of 5 cool guy skulls. And the keypad, I would give a solid 4 out of 5 keypad skulls. They're both solid products, well made, and they both accomplish what they set out to do. If either of them are to spontaneously break or start doing something incredibly weird, I'll provide an update video. That being said, I am very pleased with my incredibly impulsive purchase, and I'll see you next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that I can maybe get this channel monetized and continue to buy weird little products on the internet. And be sure to share this video with your friends, especially if they themselves are in the market to purchase iPad accessories, or if they just really like watching people draw Sonic. That's all from me, folks, and I'll see you around. Bye-bye.